Ginger's Man Club contains offensive language, adult themes, and life stories. If you are offended by any of these, please don't continue. Press the stop button. If you do continue, we can't be held responsible. We did warn you. Welcome to Ginger's Man Club.
Good evening. It's Tuesday night. It's coming up for 10 to 10, and you are listening to the Two Gingers Man Club show here on Podcast Daily. Even though we're not really doing daily, we're doing weekly, aren't we? As he looks at me in a rather confused face. It's always a good start when your co-host doesn't know what's going on every day of the week. Good evening, Daniel. How are you, my dear?
Oh, not bad, mate. Well, I actually had a shit day, to be honest, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things. How about yourself? Have you had a good one?
Yeah, it's been a very productive day as always. Every day for Adam is a productive day.
Productive day, right? You're gonna have to explain then. Go for it. What is a productive day for Adam?
Well, I won't go into full detail because we don't want to go into the nitty gritty, but it's a sort of get up, have breakfast, and start the day with a good a jump in the air and a kick of your heels sort of day. I've done all my jobs around the house as you do, and yes, I've sort of done a few deliveries and orders today for customers. So it's been I say that's my productive day. It's riveting, isn't it?
It's better than mine.
Well, I was
Honestly,
just trying
the
to
day
sort of
I've had today has been
make
absolutely ridiculous.
yes. But those, if you didn't catch our our first podcast, even, it just shows you how it just shows you how
Any mistakes
unscripted.
are genuine,
No,
right?
yeah, this is just shows you how unscripted this is. I've always said to Dan, just wing it, just wing it. So he's loving the winging it part of the podcast. But if you did miss our first podcast, it is available to listen to. It's a very questionable first podcast. As it's something very new to Daniel. Podcasting is still quite relatively new to myself. As for those that don't know, I'm a presenter on a radio station, FM, DAB, and online. But we won't name plug there. So, as I say, Dan's just getting into the bug of radio and podcasting. He did tell me off the other day for sending him some links about setting up a radio station. There was a few words mentioned. We won't mince words, will we, Daniel?
No, we will
No.
keep them to ourselves.
Yes.
And we will be
So
quiet about it.
I think deep down he actually wants to start a radio show. So I think Eagle FM might be appearing at some point in the near distant future.
Do you know, right? Honestly, I sat here now. Obviously, this is podcast number 2, hence why it's called What Another One. And it's one of those where the idea of this whole scenario was to basically let off some steam. I mean, we've had a so as most people have, probably a not great start at life, and we just thought, well, why not tell everyone that we've had a shit start? And that's what we're doing. And those that are listening, and if you're family members, you should have bloody stood up tall when we need you. And if you're not family members, then obviously there's nothing you can do because you're not there.
No.
But as you sat there eating your garlic mushrooms, the idea of this was to let off steam, talk about stuff, and hopefully hear that other people have gone through something similar, and they can sit there and go, "Oh, it's not just me."
Yeah, and obviously if they're just they've not gone through it yet or it's just starting to happen, we're sort of giving you the heads up of the boundaries that are put in place as a man. Everyone seems to think, that we have it easy. We don't. Not at all. As single fathers, it is a struggle for us. Barriers are put in our way. How we overcome them barriers, is our own way. But sometimes it can be a good way, it can be a bad way. But it's just knowing how to deal with them.
This is true, and the fact that support is available out there, as we said in the previous one, there is support. But even if you get support, just listening to us two old farts talk about how crap that we've had it in several scenarios. I mean, I went through a nasty breakup, if you want, that made me generally think about things. I'm lucky now, some poor soul. When you get like, there's two ways of looking at this, and I'm going to put the nicer way first. It's like the short straw, right? And my poor current other half picked the short straw, right? There's no doubt she had the choice of all these men that she could have had, right? And she went and pulled the short straw out and got me. Now, the other way you can look at it, which is probably more within my tolerances, is that there's a big glut, and I've never been, by the way, I just want to raid this out now. I've never done this, or that might sound like I have. I haven't, right? Let it be on record that I'm only going on what American shows have told me, right? Is that there's a glass bowl in the middle of a room with a set of car keys, right? And unfortunately, I don't own a car. I own a van. So, when you've got a Sprinter, a Mercedes Sprinter, you look like you've got a Mercedes car. Now, that poor girl's, well, at the time I didn't. I had a Vauxhall Astra. No, Vectra. Sorry, a Vectra. At the time, she's probably looked in the bowl and gone, well, that's not a bad car, the Vauxhall. Well, now I've got a Mercedes Sprinter, so we've downgraded from a car to a van. But, it's, she's picked these keys out and she's looked at them and, you know what, Vauxhall isn't a bad shout, although there's plenty of people listening to go, Vauxhall's a shit, and they're not wrong. But the aspect of all of this is that, she's poor girl, she's ruined it, she's got the short straw, and I'm pretty confident I'm ready, when they turn around and go, do you want to trade him in for another model? I'm pretty confident that she's not going to be like Uncle Bryn from Gavin and Stacey, who's kept his Picasso from brand new and he's going to run it into the ground.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm afraid to say that I've been picked up, and not in a prostitute sense either, before anybody says it.
Questionable.
Thanks, mate. You already mentioned I was a gigolo in the last podcast. Worst part is
Me?
you didn't even know, right?
I didn't physically say it. You said it out loud
on WhatsApp, and I
Yes.
actually stupidly shouted it out. I am not a gigolo, right? And I did say that. Well, I think I said I might have to explain this in another podcast. Please don't make it this one. I'm trying to make it last as long as possible. We're going to go down the fishing trip from Gavin and Stacey. It's there, but nobody knows why. I'm really filling the time and space up here because genuinely,
No, you're just deviating from the main subject, that is the gigolo experience.
For God's sake, right? Are you jealous because you didn't get to do something of that particular variety?
No.
I'd like to point out that I wasn't paid for that, right? In that respect. Oh God, that makes me sound even worse. Yes. What I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to pause this. I don't actually know how to.
It could go one of two ways. It could either end the show, and we'd have to talk all about what we've just done again, or he is actually going to get it right.
No, I'm genuinely going to pause this because I've just been told my youngest child is not behaving and it needs a stern word from daddy. So give me 2 minutes, people, or in your case, I'll probably come straight back.
Yeah, it'd be instant. He's back. And yeah, as quick as that, it was just like momentarily. It just felt like
it weren't that way.
The power of editing. It's just an amazing thing, isn't it? as he
Yeah.
sits there stuffing his face. Clanky.
You
I
started
mean,
it,
have some. I had some etiquette with mine.
did you?
Yeah, I was a lot quieter than you.
Liar.
Yeah, I
I heard
was.
you.
You might have heard me, but nobody else did.
Yeah. If I heard you, then the recording heard you.
The power of technology at its finest.
So here's a question.
Go on.
Apparently, I can do echo removal, so that will probably remove everything I'm doing in the background. So you brought up a valid point about TV jingles and TV programs, like you just said that you now found an episode of, well, not an episode, the whole collection of the bill, and then I
Yes.
started tapping my cup of tea spoon to the da
Yeah.
da da.
Yeah. I don't know. I was going into countdown then. I think I was.
That's the wrong show, mate. Even the
I
wrong
know.
channel.
I was about to go do. But no, the
Well,
bill.
that's exactly how the bill ended.
It was pretty much, yes. But even sort of the couple of the early episodes into it, you had a very young Billy Mitchell in it, a very young Dot Cotton as well. One episode had Fred from Coronation Street in it, but playing as I think as a Polish character, I think. So it's just shows you where they sort of started their career in the bill. A lot of them.
You mean as extras?
Well, they were extras, yeah, but they had they had quite big parts in it as extras.
Yeah, they've gone in and had a. Are you having a joke? Somebody's name that I can't even pronounce has asked me to become a friend on Facebook. Yes,
I
I
don't.
am of the generation that's still on Facebook.
I don't do Facebook. I'm an old fart. Well, I'm older than Daniel.
Only just.
Well, still older than you.
You might be, yes. You're what? 11 months and what? A day?
Give or take, yeah.
You'd like to give or take, didn't you?
Oh, yes. As long as it's of the female variety.
How are things with you and your lovely other half?
They are going very well, thank you very much.
Has she had a
They are
word
going.
with you about this podcast yet?
No, I don't even know if she's ever listened to the first one yet. It's shocking, isn't it?
Probably because it hasn't been loaded up yet.
There you go. That's why she hasn't listened to it. So everyone else, I've just said at the beginning, oh, if you haven't, listened to our first show, have a listen to it. But you can't because it hasn't been uploaded.
we were clarifying the music.
Yes, we have come up with some intro music, so that would be added at the start of this one if you haven't already heard it. So we're talking about something that they would have already heard.
Have they though? Because they might listen to number 2 first and not number 1.
Yeah, but it's still gonna, even if they listen to number 2 first, they're still gonna hear the music because it's gonna be at the start of number 2.
Yeah,
Isn't
okay,
it?
fair enough. Yeah, all right, fair enough. If it's at the start of this one.
You haven't quite thought, your context through, have you?
The problem is that it's not edited, it's not been done, so therefore I'm a bit confused. The fact that I'm actually speaking in the future, but I'm actually talking in the past.
Yes.
I'm not even sure how that works, but it does in my head. So,
Welcome to the rabbit hole that is media.
I am talking to you from the future that is actually the past.
You've entered Daniel's weird zone.
We've been there many, many times. Loads
Oh,
of people.
we have. We've had.
It's funny
Go
you say that because obviously I write job cards out when I go out and do some work, and
Don't swear at
my
me. Use that W word at me.
what work? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. And my engineering manager actually says to me, "Can you translate this from Danglish?" Because he just doesn't understand what I've written. And then what's even worse is that when I actually read it back, I don't understand what I said. So I have to sit there and remember the job. No, I don't actually know what I meant there.
Nothing's really changed over the years on that front, has it? Really?
No.
I mean, we've been friends a very long time. For those that don't know, and we've both been through a bit of a rough ride, but in our early years, we was probably the most looniest bunch of bastards. Yeah, putting it lightly, really. Everything from pool tournaments, the Crazy 8 pool tournament.
I still have a file for that. I found it.
Yeah, you probably still have the trophy.
No, I didn't win it last.
Oh, did you not?
No.
I don't even know who won it last. But yes, we played a crazy eight championship between us and a few friends. Well, I use that term lightly now. Some of them have gone off and done their own things. But
Well,
the pub that
they're acquaintances.
yeah, the pub is no longer there now. The pub we used to
No,
use.
the rising.
But there ain't many pubs left now, to be fair, that we probably went into in our heyday.
You're making it
Uh,
sound like with a poison chalice here.
But it wasn't just within the London area. As much as we used to go into central London in cars, and when people used to stick their arm out for a bus, we'd pull over, didn't we, and
Yeah.
ask them ask them what they would like, and they're sort of a bit confused, or we'd pull over right next to them at a bus stop. There might be a phone box behind them, and Daniel would say, "Do you know where the nearest phone box is?" And they'd look around, and they'd be like, "No, I don't." They'd just really be confused. So yeah, we did some very strange stuff around central London. This is before congestion charges and ULEZ zones. When
Yeah,
you
we
could
could
actually
get
drive
away
into the city.
with having a petrol style car that chucked out a load of fumes and diesel, to be honest. Oh, by the way, you're drinking out of a 40 mug. You're not 40. Don't laugh.
Well, one can dream. One can dream. What's yours say anyway?
It's one of those that probably says live life love. Uh,
Something about
no,
coffee and
no, it says green tea, English tea, Earl Grey tea, herbal
latte.
teas,
Yeah, oh yeah,
cappuccino, latte, basically anything you can fit in this cup, which
including your
is
tash.
pointless, really. Yeah, my tash, which obviously needs cut, so you can see that. Obviously, the wonderful listeners cannot.
No,
Um,
that's
I
a
actually,
mighty fine beard you've got there, sir.
I don't know. I feel like a bloody lion with it. It's one of those that sticks outwards. Well, this is ironically like my hair
Yeah.
that grows outwards. I always, if I've had a shower the night before and not dried my hair properly, I look like I've stuck my fingers in a plug socket.
Considering what your hair was like many, many years ago, how you used to take pride in your hair, Mister.
Yeah, I'd like to
Yeah.
say. Yeah, all right, fair play. I wasn't aware that we were going down the self-care line today.
I've still
But
got an image of you in that photo when you was younger. That I think you might have been topless in one. It was it was
there's
the
plenty of
one photo that.
photos out there claiming
Yeah.
that I'm topless, so
No, there was
we
this
can't
one
narrow this
particular
down
one
to
that was
one.
taken in a certain person's bedroom at the time. Shall we say that you was courting with at the time? But it
When
was.
did we turn up to be in the 1960s? Right,
Well, I
half
was
the
just
people
trying to use
listening to this
a
won't even
term.
know what
Well, I'm going to say
courting is.
dating. I was just using a more calmer term for you.
Oh, is this the particular photo where where I'm lying down on a bed and I've got my fist against the top of my head, using that as a
I think
thing?
that might be the one.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually, yes. No, the
Yeah.
worrying thing about that is when I was at Rotherham Bus Garage, that was actually found, and it was sellotaped to the back of my toolbox with it saying how much. So yeah, I was a lot thinner then. I had a lot less hair on my face. Um, yeah, and you know what the worrying part about all that is? I have that toolbox now, and I don't think that sign's actually been. So every time I roll it round, it still says how much on the back.
Yes, I do remember that photo. There are many embarrassing photos of Daniel. If I could find them and had them, I'd certainly share them with all of you lot. He was a little bit slimmer then as well. I mean,
All right,
I
all
well,
right. I didn't realise this was an attack on me.
well, I'm sure I'll get a bit of a roasting at some point. He's
So
trying to think of.
what we're saying basically is that you're going to start putting these things on our new X stroke Twitter thing of at Ginger's Man Club,
Yes,
and you're going to
yes.
start
Once
putting photos up of me in my youth.
I wouldn't say heyday. I'd just say
Well,
youth.
the worst part about it is that you never thought, would you, that you'd have ever said that. And
No.
you know when you're young and you sat there and you're looking around and you're going, haha, I'm never gonna get old. And then suddenly out of nowhere, I mean, these 20-year-olds, they say, I'm gonna be 30. And you're like, you've got nothing, mate. You absolutely know nothing, right? I'm 40, I'm 41, right? I tell you what, right, and this is a great example, right? I went to do that street hockey tournament that I spoke about in the last podcast. Thankfully, the team were actually good in front of me because the first game I done all right, and the second game, well, I don't know where those 5 goals came from, but they did. And basically, a lot of that was down to the fact, all right, yes, it was a back game, and I was tired because I'm old, and I ended up like conceding 3 in quick succession, of which I said to my body, "Will you fucking move?" And my body just went, "Do what? What do you want me to do?" And by the time it responded, it went, "Oh, this." The ball's already past me. Like
I mean, you used to be really nimble in a goal. You
I
was
can be nimble when I have a rest period of about a week.
no, but I mean,
Uh,
in your heyday during like the Edmonton Eagles, I still remember the name.
yes,
You was a very nimble person in goal,
I was an agile keeper. Yes,
uh, uh,
it was a
and
shame
very
the
still
time.
and still quite vocalist as well as a goalkeeper, which some things don't change.
Yeah, no, I'm still the same now in street hockey
Exactly.
and
So that
in the football that I do on a potential Thursday. I do have a tendency to go tell them what to do. But yeah, the street hockey was all I'm thankful for is when you go down. What was it? We went one nil down. I think it was then 1-1. Then it was 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what happened there? And then 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, 5-4. And I'm there going, I better not concede in this second period because, I don't even think I've had 10 shots, which means I don't even have a 50% save ratio, which is awful. Um, and I didn't concede in the second half or the second period because in this you only have 2 periods, so two
yeah,
15-minute periods. And I didn't concede and we won 6-5. And do you know what? Their keeper was absolutely immense. I mean, it doesn't bring to the fact that he actually filled the goal by just standing up. But he was really good, and he pulled off some saves after saves. I'm just sat at the other end of the field, just going, "All right, lad, crack on." Oh, I'll just sit here. I've let 5 in already. Don't worry about it.
I mean, you do what you do. I mean, you say you was always very, very active, wasn't you? Obviously, when we were a lot younger, I think we all was. I mean, I don't think there was ever a time that we wasn't all out doing something shape thing or form, where we were running around like lunatics on a football pitch or playing pool and snooker.
We used to
So
do
we
a lot
all,
of bike riding as well.
yeah,
It's
we did, yeah.
something that young kids probably don't even know what a bike is unless they're
Well,
referring it to a woman. But sorry, um, the you know and you look back and you think that you're gonna be like invincible to the world, and age ain't gonna catch up with you. And suddenly I'm sat here, and I mean I have an 18-year-old daughter, for goodness sake,
mm,
you know, and the next one's 10, who's living with me now. And you look at that and you go, when did she turn 10? Like, when did that happen?
yeah.
And
I remember
yeah,
when she was only, a baby, and my little one who's 10 this year as well, in April, because obviously we went to Yorkshire Wildlife Park, all of us.
yes,
So that was a long time ago. I've still got the pictures of that, so if you ever lose the pictures, I still have them. But yeah, as I say, just the time flies by. 10 years of, with our well, my eldest, obviously your second eldest. So the time just flies by, and as you say, when you hear people saying, "Well, I'm 30 next week," and you think, what I wouldn't give to be 30. And you look at them and you think, bloody
Yeah.
hell, you've had a rough paper round, So and again, there you go, another rant. Kids don't do paper rounds anymore. What's going on there?
It just reminds me of the game Paperboy. We used to just try and get the news.
Now you're going to make anyone that is listening and is older than us, and I do apologise, you're making them feel old now by saying that.
There was nothing wrong with the game Paperboy.
I
But
know,
his
but
name was Alex Mack. That was on a Sega
Alex the
Master
Kid.
System. Oh, is that what it was? Alex Mack
Alex the
was a
Kid.
TV show.
I can't remember that one.
Yeah. Less said about that, the better.
You say about programs, right? I'm just gonna find it on here because me and the other half we was talking about TV shows about a week or so ago, and I mentioned about Funhouse.
Brilliant show. Twins were fit.
Yeah, and I tell you what, when I said, when I said, "Oh, the twins," and I went, "Oh," and she was like, "You what?" And so I was like, to sort of dig myself out of a very deep hole, very very quickly, and I was like, "Oh, they're obviously a lot older now." Thinking, "Oh, yeah, no, I could get myself out of this very very deep hole," and I'll tell you what, how old they are, and you'll be very surprised. How old do you think the twins are? Is these ones? Yeah, not sure. So, how old do you think they are? The twins from Funhouse.
Well,
Considering what we was watching, we would have been 10.
all right. I'll go with late 40s.
Nope.
Go with 47.
No.
No,
53.
sod off.
No, they're 53.
I mean, I wouldn't
So
have
yeah,
kicked him out of bed.
you what? Sorry,
I wouldn't have kicked him out of bed.
I'm not going to dig myself into a deep hole on this one. I'm not. I'm
Listen,
not going to do.
I really can't say much because when it comes to CITV, as I remember it,
Yeah.
not the CITV channel, but the CITV that was on between 3:15 and 5:15 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
When they brought back presenters, because CITV went through a period of not having any presenters for a while.
Yeah. Who did we have? Like Dave Benson Phillips.
No, that's BBC, mate. Don't
Oh, was that?
confuse the
No, I
two.
thought didn't he? No, he did do something on ITV as well. I'm sure he did.
What, on CITV? He wasn't a
Yeah,
presenter on
I'm sure. I'm sure he was.
He used to be in bloody Playdays.
Answers on a postcard.
And what was that? Get Your Own Back. Was it Get
Yeah.
Your Own Back with
Yeah,
Slime the Parent?
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember going through a period. I was coming back from school, and I actually, as a young lad that has just decided to essentially say, well, women are actually quite attractive,
Mhm.
and I really went for the early days of when Stephen Mulhern, who seems to be ITV's person of the moment with
Yeah.
his failed attempt at You Bet, but that's something else we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
And it was him and a girl called Danielle, and I thought that Danielle was absolutely gorgeous. Now, there's probably
Yeah.
a
I
load of
can't
lads
remember
out there
this.
that
So.
agree with me, and there's probably a load of lads going, "You have got shit for eyes," and you're entitled to your opinion, but your opinion's wrong. So yeah, and then I found out as I got older that actually she had a sister, and her sister had done topless modelling.
Trust you to find that.
Now, I didn't find this out by going searching, in the world of that Google was, and Google wasn't that good then. But I think it was in either the Sunday Sport or it was in something like that, which we weren't allowed to buy as kids. But if you went to the right newsagent, you didn't give a toss as long as you gave him an extra, gave him a quid or whatever it was for a bit extra,
Yeah.
so he could see you walk out the door with a big grin on your face, and then try and hide it as you exit the door so nobody saw these on a piece of paper. Yeah, and I think that's how I found out. But yeah, I mean, there was some There were some stunners in that. And do you know what? There was a character, and then of course what happens in CITV, they bring like the worst witch out.
Yeah.
And I end up really having a thing for, I think her name was Ethel Hallow. And yeah, I didn't find the main character attractive
Right. Hang on.
at the time.
Oh,
But,
Jenny Richardson. For
I've
those
got
that
no
don't.
idea what her name was. It was Ethel Hallow from what I remember. I can't see that, mate. I'm sorry.
Well.
Hang on. Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been.
Yeah.
I hope that's the original series and not the one that the BBC have remade, because I was
No,
thinking
that's
maybe
the
something right
original. Yeah.
and I used to really find, the evil cow, which probably, says a lot for me, doesn't it? But yeah, it was. No, was it? No, I don't think it was her. No, it's not her.
As we
She was
refer
born
to
in
our notes.
2004, mate. Jesus Christ.
Oh no, is it?
Um,
There's no other one on here.
there is, and she did Felicity Jones. That's her.
All right. Even Amanda Holden was in it. I don't remember that.
No, I don't either. But no, I really,
As we refer to our notes that we don't normally have.
I would love to, but I'm not that well prepared. I wasn't realizing we were going to start talking about characters from the worst witch. But yeah, no, it was not that one. It was the one before, Felicity Jones.
Yeah.
Who's in my age gap. Thank you very much. I
like the way in your age gap, as if that matters at the minute.
Well, of course it does. I sit here turning around and saying I like this girl that was on TV as a child. I'm not. When I'm a child, it's okay. Clearly,
Yeah.
But that's really getting myself in a bit of a doggy doo doo situation there.
That's why I'm very careful about what I say. But I've had a lot of practice when it comes to
Yeah, well, I have.
broadcasting. So that's why I'm letting you dig yourself this hole.
Thanks for saving me, mate.
That's all right. That's what I've got some rope here for you. It's only a
keep
very
going,
short
mate.
piece though. It's only a very short piece.
That's all right. If it fits around my neck, we'll be all right.
It ain't gonna get round your waist, is it?
No.
No. So, throw that one out there. I'm waiting for the digs back eventually.
You'll be talking about Button Moon in a minute.
Oh, a classic. Absolute classic is Button Moon. Yeah.
For the fun long time.
So there were some really good programs when we was young, and what there is now is absolute. They've ruined Thomas the Tank Engine. They took it to some childish little animated thing there, and it's just animated, same thing.
Yeah, it's crap. Right?
Yeah, you can't beat the classic Thomas. We grew up with what was it, Thomas, Super Ted, even classic Pink Panther. Growing up with that. Tom and Jerry.
You remember Teddy Ruxpin next?
I do remember Teddy Ruxpin, actually.
Not many people do.
No, not many people. Here's one that a lot of people that I've spoken to don't remember Bertha.
Bertha the Machine, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of... You ask people up north, and they do not know about Bertha. So if there's anyone else out there that remembers Bertha, do let us know on our Twitter/X page, which Dan did mention at the beginning. I haven't wrote it down on my notes. There we go, at Ginger's Man Club.
I've just had a look here. Bertha, lovely Bertha. That was on BBC One, so everybody should have had access to that.
Yeah.
Back in the days where you had various ITVs, where you and I used to have in Thames and LWT or Carlton.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. When we had Thames was better. I don't care what anything. And then
Poshest.
No,
I don't know why it's better. Oh yeah.
They made some cracking shows. Them and Central made some absolutely cracking shows.
You had Granada TV for a bit, didn't you? That was sort of like the mixture.
Still there, mate.
Yeah, but they don't. But the intro, the Granada TV intro, ident intro, that was, they went through stints of different ones, didn't they, for a while?
I always thought it was a G with an arrow at the top, but I could be wrong now. You've said
It
that.
might be. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right. I think it was like an up down, almost looked like a rail logo. Could have got away with it, really. But no, I mean, we had some really good programs growing up, and obviously they've got rid of a lot. Well, they've got rid of CITV now. That's gone. They've most of it, like children's programs on BBC and that, it's all on BBC iPlayer now. So kids are not getting the entertainment, TV wise that we had. But I get, they're trying to say, well, we want to try and keep kids away from TV and get them doing more. But
Yeah,
there
so
is,
let's make it available to watch on a tablet at all times.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah. But I mean, it hasn't done us any harm. All the watching TV of kids programs. Danger Mouse, Super Ted. I'm going to list them all. Poddington Peas. Do you remember that one?
Count Duckula.
Count Duckula. Trapdoor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to throw in Captain Pugwash.
Depends on what names you remember.
Was it Master Bates, as they said? No, it wasn't.
Seaman Stains.
Yeah, I think that was just one of them joke things that sort of appeared, didn't it?
Yeah.
But they
Roger
weren't
the
actually.
cabin boy.
Yeah. How,
I am aware that they weren't real. Right?
I know. And then there was like the fake episodes of Rainbow, wasn't there? Let's play with each other's balls.
Oh
And,
yeah, twangers.
Yeah, and twangers. I was playing with Mary's twangers last night. But no, I personally wasn't. It was just obviously the quote. Just clarify that one
Was it
there
a quote? Are you sure?
It was a quote,
What you
yes.
sent me a picture of last night.
Oh dear. But no, I mean, there was that humour there. Rod and Emu. There was that one, proper action. Nightmare. Do you remember that?
Nightmare was brilliant.
Yeah,
Nightmare was frightening at some stages, but it was
I'd love to see it.
brilliant.
I would love to see a reboot of that because I mean, you think the technology that there is now, how good that would be in today's.
He wouldn't be able to stand on a false floor anymore, would he?
Well, yeah, you would. It would just be one of them moving floors, wouldn't it? That you can get.
Who was? There was another puppet bird that was green.
Oh, Orville.
Not
Yeah.
Orville.
Orville.
It was
Yeah.
Orville, wasn't it?
Orville. Yeah. I wish I can fly.
Yeah, and then
Say
you
along
had
them lines.
Duck that got absolutely hammered by
Oh yeah.
Schofield.
Oh yeah. No. Oh yeah. Gordon the
I'm not saying
Gopher.
he physically did anything with that duck.
You mean Gordon the Gopher?
No, he had Ed the Duck as well.
Oh yeah, the duck. Yeah, yeah. Timmy Mallet,
I think.
another good one there.
Do you know what? I follow him on social media.
I do as well. I followed his. Yeah, around the UK, he did.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't look like he's changed, does he?
No, he hasn't. Not even the wrinkles.
Uh,
You know what's really funny about that though? You sit there and in the early days of CITV,
yeah.
We had Timmy Mallet, and then you had Michaela Strachan, who we all probably remember from the Really Wild show.
Yeah, that's right.
Was
Yeah.
actually on Whack-A-Day. It was Whack-A-Day. That's what it was.
Whack-A-Day, yeah.
On a Saturday morning. Her and Timmy Mallet on Whack-A-Day. And there's a lot of men that fell in love with Michaela Strachan.
Well, yeah, her and probably Cat Dealey as well was another popular one.
Yeah, Cat Dealey was taller than me there. Which means I'm the right height for her breasts.
Again, you can dig yourself. If your other half listens to this, you're going to get strung.
She won't be, so it's fine.
Unless I send her a copy.
Well, as I said, she's absolutely fabulous, my other half.
Yeah,
I'm not going to deny it. I've said it all the way through. She's absolutely fabulous.
Considering we do slate off, women and general stuff. Yeah,
slated myself, Mike.
Yeah, well, yeah, we haven't. But no, I mean, TV when we grew up, as you say, I mean, you mentioned briefly about You Bet, and see, I've not seen the reboot, but I remember obviously.
Fucking waste of time.
But then I remember obviously the original was brilliant. Now,
do you remember the original as Bruce Forsyth, or do you remember the original with Matthew Kelly?
Yeah, I remember it with Matthew Kelly.
Yes, so do I.
What else did we have? Krypton Factor.
Yep. Going for gold.
During school.
During the school, right? you got to watch Henry Kelly and Going for Gold, and you actually were one of the rare things you could actually do. It was your own country, so you could be like England instead of the United Kingdom, which I thought was really mean because they're bringing people from Denmark that probably didn't have the best understanding of language, and they've got an Irishman reading a fucking question out. How the hell is this poor bloke from Denmark or France going to understand him?
We all understood him pretty well, to be fair. I mean, Going for Gold was probably the original version of Pointless, really, wasn't it? To think about it.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, what else do we have? Obviously, the Crystal Maze.
yeah. Richard
Again,
O'Brien was awesome
yeah,
on that.
he was. I mean, what was it? Was it Ed Hall or something that did it afterwards? After Richard O'Brien, but
Possibly.
Richard O'Brien,
Again,
I think
you know
he
when
owned.
you think of game shows and you
Yeah,
think of that person. I mean, like you say with Bullseye, is Jim Bowen. Nobody
yeah.
else. I mean, don't get me
Oh
wrong.
yeah,
Freddie Flintoff's had a go, but he isn't Jim Bowen. I know Jim Bowen's dead now. God
yeah.
rest his soul. But you know, you're not going to exactly bring him up and then make him do
No,
another show. But again, you could get away with stuff. I mean, you know, I'm going to be really controversial here, and I'm going to turn around and say one of the greatest entertainers on TV for a game show was Michael Barrymore.
yeah,
And when you actually watch like Strike It Lucky, or as
yeah,
it became Strike It Rich,
yeah,
the first 10 to 15 minutes of that show was him interviewing and chatting with the contestants
yeah.
and having a laugh and having a giggle and you know the game show didn't really take that long. You
No,
know, you press a button, answer a couple of questions, and then you go and press a button, and if it's got a hotspot, then you can't move on a hotspot, can you?
yeah.
What's a hotspot?
Top, yeah,
Not a good not a good
yeah.
spot.
No, top,
And
middle, or bottom.
that's it. And
Yep.
and Michael Barrymore was absolutely, and you know, don't get me wrong, I really feel for the family of the guy that was found in his swimming pool. But as an entertainer, he was awesome, in
Mm,
my opinion. And if you do get the opportunity, if you go, who's Michael Barrymore, you should watch it on YouTube. There's plenty of things out there. He hasn't got the he's I feel for him because it ruined his career. Whether he was
yeah.
guilty or not, I don't know. But
I mean, his brother used to work in a off license in Waltham Cross in Hertfordshire. He looks as absolute double of of Michael Barrymore.
I hope so if
But
it's his brother.
well, yeah, well, no, I mean, he looked as if they were twins, but they weren't.
Right.
But you know, people would go into the shop and sort of say, "Oh, you're Michael Barrymore's brother," and he absolutely denied he hated his brother, and he basically disowned him. But I mean, he wasn't the only one that sort of went through that phase. Obviously, Craig Charles, his brother, he used to do Blue's Clues, and again, them two don't get on either. So it's mad at how it happens with family and stuff like that. But yeah, and Michael Barrymore as an entertainer, he was good. He did have people in stitches. I mean, he did a show with kids as well, didn't it? And
He did.
kids saying
Kids
fun
say the funniest thing.
things, and
That
it was
and
quite
the
funny.
show Barrymore, we'd end up in like a supermarket, not a
Mm,
supermarket, for God's sake, shopping centre.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah, and he was get people to do stuff on stage, didn't
yeah,
he, and stuff like
you
that.
know,
But
and I will probably get a lot of hate for it if anybody actually does listen to this. I probably will get a lot of hate for it because you know he's obviously been accused of something. There's no proof of it, but
no,
he's still taken the hit. Um, he did do a show actually. After that, somebody brought him back. I can't remember what it was for, and he ruled it. He absolutely ruled it. And people were there, you can't do that. It's accusation and this, that, and the other. But, you know, as much as I don't agree with what happened to the person in the pool, he just ruled that show. Absolutely
yeah.
ruled it. And it was
See,
brilliant.
he was My Kind of People. That was quite an old one. My Kind of Music. Obviously, Barrymore, Strike It Lucky. Kids Say the Funniest Things. Strike It Rich. I mean, he's been on other shows like the Larry Grayson Show. Um, I don't know. See, I mean, he's done quite a few things, hasn't he? So I mean, it's for shows wise, you know what he is.
Do you know what I used to like watching as well, and it'll probably raise a few eyebrows? Is Rolf's Cartoon Club.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know, he wasn't. Um, Tony. Is it Tony Wright that used to
Tony,
do
Tony, no, Tony,
Hart? Tony Hart.
Tony Hart. That's it. Yeah,
Tony Hart. He wasn't him. With Morph. And he wasn't Neil Buchanan from Art Attack. Now
Yeah.
there's someone that can
Yeah.
really, it was brilliant. I wouldn't be surprised if he was Banksy in disguise. Old Neil Buchanan. But what got
Yeah.
me was, I don't know if you remember, it was probably towards the end of our watching children's TV. There was a TV show called Zap,
Yes, I remember
which
that.
was the comic book, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there was an art person on there, and that was actually Neil Buchanan.
Yeah. Well, I know that.
Party or something.
Yeah, there was obviously Wizit as well. Do you remember Wizit? And that actually that was Paul Daniels in a costume as well.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
The worst part, when you said Wizard, I thought you meant Wizardora.
No, well, no, not that one. That was terrible. Yeah, Wizit. I'm sure it was called Wizit. Show. So I'm just sort of googling. Oh yeah, Whizbit. Sorry, it was called, and that was 1986. Now I'm going to show Daniel the picture because you should probably remember it from that picture.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
So that was Paul Daniels in that costume. He was dressed up as basically a yellow traffic cone, I suppose you best describe it, wasn't it? So, but yeah, so, I mean, we had, people say, oh, kids' TV shows, it ruins kids and stuff like that. It did nothing harm on us, saying about Tom and Jerry being violent and stuff like that. It's just,
Yeah, but we have common sense not to do that.
Yeah, and this, saying about, they have to take, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner off the TV because they're worried that kids might reenact. How many kids are going to pick up an anvil and balance it on a rock and paint a tunnel on a rock?
I was going to say, the one thing that would get me there is the fact that they're going to paint a tunnel.
Yeah.
And
well, if that was the case, you know what I mean, it would be painting tunnels just to make shortcuts, wouldn't we? If we could paint tunnels.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But then again, they're not allowed to do Pepe Le Pew either, are they?
Are they not? No.
No, there was something about, I think because we just stereotypified the French as skunks. But and of course the French aren't skunks. Let's just put that out there. But they weren't allowed to do that. But it's like, what was that? Be careful with a movie of one of Disney's where they've got the two 101 Dalmatians, where they've got the two cats and they said there, we are Siamese.
Siamese cats, yeah.
With Japanese eyes or Chinese eyes or Asian eyes. And they've had to be careful with that. But yeah, how the hell did we get onto TV shows?
I think it was just that age, wasn't it, and stuff like that. But then, you're going into a new realm of, talking about Disney, this, what they're calling the woke culture. Obviously with the new Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or you couldn't say that. It was, Snow White and the, I don't know what it was. Just, it wasn't, there was just absolutely.
Snow White that has black as ebony, her hair as black as ebony, and
and
skin
obviously
as
dwarfs that weren't dwarfs,
as red as roses or whatever.
Yeah, but this is the world that we're moving into now, where people are worried about offending people, but all you're doing is you're pandering to one set of people to say, well, okay, we're making you inclusive, but then all you're doing is you're making those that the stories were originally about, you're making them you're not including them in it because you're completely changing the story. So just leave things as it was. It's like saying Pinocchio was never made out of wood and saying he was made out of plastic, but then you'll get people from Just Stop Oil saying, well, you can't make him out of plastic, so they'd end up painting him orange or something like that. But it's just
We'll chuck him paint it in.
Yeah, I mean you're close to orange anyway, that beard. But
yeah.
Hey,
you're
mine's not
silver yet.
No, I'm going grey, so I'm not far. I'm getting old. I'm going grey, so that's my excuse. but no, so we're pandering to one set of people, but then you're upsetting the apple cart in the next breath. So it's trying to find that happy medium, between making everybody happy, and it's just never going to work. You're just never going to please everybody, which is a shame, really, but it is what it is.
You never please everyone all
No,
the
I
time.
mean,
One of the famous rules in the
yeah,
scenario, you're never going to please everyone. And
no,
until we realise this, and I mean, what was it? There was somebody that said on something about being British, and she said Britain's not British anymore, and I said well, that's quite ironic for someone that's of clear foreign descent that has come over here
mm,
to live in Britain for it being British, to then turn around and say it's not British
mm.
anymore. But it's it's a tough subject for me, that one.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be very careful here on this platform, of what we say, because somebody will take it in the wrong context, and next thing we know is it's the local constabulary knocking on the
You
door.
mean in Keir Starmer's England? Oh, I can't see that happening.
As I say, we just wait for that knock on the door. That's that's the way we've become. Some people are afraid to say something, and those that are not are the ones obviously being targeted and saying, right, okay, and then you free speech is out the window.
It's only free speech when it's agreed.
Mm. And again, this is another a rabbit hole that we could go down and get very much lost in.
So you being
Um,
a gigolo,
sorry,
you becoming a gigolo, how did that go for you?
I was never a gigolo, thank you very much. Not like you. Or was it? Sorry, would it be classed as for you? Was it? Sorry, a male escort?
I think when somebody put that in their search engine and they went as like a 30-year-old male escort, a 30-year-old escort, they didn't really expect someone to come up with an XR3i. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what they was expecting, but you was more of a,
Um,
a male transit van, I
listen,
think.
listen. It wasn't all as it was cracked up to be.
No,
Right? It was. It was. Look, I may as well explain it now because you really are pushing me in this direction, right? And
I'm sure
there
you'll
is
get your
a
own back on
story.
me.
There is a story to this. Um, and I ended up signing up to a. I think that the correct term wasn't a gigolo; it was a social companion site. And the idea of it actually was, I'm not gonna lie, I needed some cash. I was very poor, um, and at the time, and I'm going back 20 years,
Yeah,
15 actually, and and they used to say to us, if you're all right, you get paid X amount an hour, but you get a minimum of 3 hours. And I'm like, you know what, I'm game. As long as I don't have to do any of the dirty stuff, we'll be all right. And I was assured that I didn't,
yeah,
right? Which is fine. Hence why I'm not a gigolo. Um, so I remember this one person said to me that they'd like me to go out and do this work do with, and I says, all right, no problem. Well, I didn't have a suit at the time,
I
and
remember
they
this.
they ended up I ended up going to a shop first and getting fitted out for a suit, and it was paid for by this person. And I was like, fine enough. I thought it was going to come out of the earnings of some sort, but no, it didn't. Um, and they said, right, you need to be ready on this. I think it was a Friday. I mean, the day's irrelevant, but
Yeah,
I get picked up in this car, and I'm taken to this lady's house, who then got in this car with me and proceeded to tell me that she was going to this. It was a works do. It was a really high. I didn't realize that she was actually one of the big people at this firm. Why she'd want me, I don't know. But either way, and she said, "Look, can you do me a favour?" And I said, "Well, I'm here. I'm paid for this. Um, can you pretend to be me other half. I says, right, I can try. And at the time I was still in that period of really wanting my ex back. And I said, well, I'll do my best, you know. And the stupid thing about all of it was I was actually trying not to offend my ex in this whole scenario, even though I was dumped. But anyway, I played the role okay. Anyway, so she says to me, right, what do you want to call yourself? I just called myself Peter, which was easy to remember. And I ended up getting out in this suit with a bow tie, and I got in there, and we were sat on a table of 10, right? And I ended up going quickly to the table and turning all the name plaques round so I could see them when I was sat down.
Yeah.
Nobody took any notice of this when they came to sit down. Obviously, there was a table back, and they just went, "Oh, they've turned around the other way. We'll leave that." I'm like, "Thank God you left that." Because otherwise, I haven't got a clue who the hell I'm speaking to. I ended up writing my name. I actually put something like Peter Chapman or something like that. It was something really, really stupid. And I put it on the table. And they're like, so, how did you meet whatever her name was? And I had to think of a story on the spot about how the two of us have met, how everything had come together. I didn't even know who her parents were, and I ended up saying, I remember she said something about her dad did something on the oil rigs or something like that. I just think it was a welder on the oil rigs or something, and I had to sit there and roll off a script without any sort of thought of what I could say. And of course, you have to be careful then, because now you've said it, you've got to remember it.
Yeah.
And I ended up, I think I copied some sort of TV show in my head, so I knew what I was saying, and we pulled it off, and we were there for a good 4 to 5 hours. And I'm chatting away to these people, and of course they're all upper class, aren't they? And I can pull it off when I need to, but I'm not exactly upper class.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting, and she thanked me for that, and she, she got taken home first, which is right,
Yeah.
because she saw where I live, um, and I got back, and I got a really good review over that, and it was really good. It was a really good time. The third one, the second one wasn't anything really that memorable, but the third one is the one that put me off it.
Yeah.
And I've never ran for my life apart from that one time I did the high five story, which is you're already
High
laughing.
five.
You heard this story enough,
High
right?
five.
On the trains up to Sheffield from London, and I'd never run from a building as quick as that, and that put the frighteners in me to stop me doing it. Because it was one of those where I won't go into too much detail, but I was told to come and see this woman who was of the partner of an older gentleman, and I think that she wanted to be what's the best word for this?
Think of your words very carefully.
She wanted to be satisfied in certain way, and it was I ended up saying, right, okay, and I was in a bit of a precarious position where she sat and had a chat with me. She got to know me, the character I put on, and the scenario of that was as we were upstairs, he jumped out of the fucking wardrobe with a shotgun in his hand, and was threatening to shoot me if I went anywhere near his other arm. Now, what you've got to bear in mind in this situation is that both of us aren't exactly fully clothed, and to run from sit there and he's aiming this shotgun at me, and honestly, it's one of the most terrifying experiences I have ever. And of course, you think, you're like, oh, be hard, I'll knock that gun out of his hand. No, you fucking can't, right? And you sit there, well, the end is nigh, and I'm going to sit here with not much on apart from my underwear. I'm
And a
going
rather
to
large
die,
stain.
and potentially a little thankful present at the bottom of the underwear at the same time. Um, and I ended up grabbing my clothes and running, but I just never knew the size of that wardrobe could hold a man in it. When you sit there and look back, you're like, there was no way that wardrobe should have held a man in it, especially with clothes in it.
Yeah.
But it did, and I ran, and it did. It put me off. I didn't do it after that. But the first two. I mean, the first one was absolutely fabulous. The second one was okay. It was nothing special. Third one frightened the hell out of me, and I never did it after that again. So yeah, if you're ever interested in doing social companionship, just make sure they're not Russian other halves with older men that cannot cope with them being satisfied
I was
otherwise.
about to say, I hear Age UK are looking for people, Dan.
Well, they can sod that off. But she was younger than me at the time. I think he genuinely brought her over from Russia as a
All
Russian
right.
bride. And yeah, I mean, she was lovely though. She was a lovely person. She really was. It's just such a shame that the situation regarded it to be shotgun-esque as it was. The
I
worst
thought it was
part
probably
is, I hope you're not going to make this series all about my stupid stories, because I
no.
just, I've got some pathetic stories, and you talk about how we've all had life experience. I have done some silly shit in my time,
I think we
and
all have. I mean, as I remember, I'm glad I can't get arrested for this now. Is or even you as well, because you clearly was the driver at the time.
don't know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, it was a Ford Focus. Let's remember. I remember that
I never had a Ford
silver.
Focus.
Yeah. Um, and we was coming back from Southend.
Where that is.
We did have a second car, but they'd gone off early, so it meant that one of us couldn't, get home otherwise. And I think I say I think I know. I spent the journey asleep in the boot of your car for the journey home along the Southend Road. I know
I
we
know what you
stopped
mean.
him. Yeah, it says with a big grin across his face. I remember getting out for we stopped for McDonald's. I think might have been the experience we had with a milkshake being thrown across the back of your car. I
You
think
mean
it was
a milkshake that was meant to be thrown out of
out the
an
window.
open
Yeah,
window that wasn't an actual open window?
window. Yeah, that could be that would be the one. So yes, that
No, I
was
don't remember that.
so. But I must admit as well. I will give Dan credit where it's due, because he did practically save my life at one point, when we was in Sheffield. My chair's just gone then. Let's see if
Oh
Dan
Christ,
can
yeah,
remember that one.
I do. I do. Actually, you know what? Michael took the greatest of pleasure slapping you across the face. He really did.
I don't even remember that. That's the
Do you
thing.
know what? I've never known. What was it? We managed to get you to Northern General. It was.
Mm,
It's still there, obviously.
yeah.
But we got you to Northern General. I can't remember what it was that started it off. But we had to keep you awake, and it was Michael's going, right. You need to talk to me. Can you tell me this? Can you tell me that? I'm talking to you from the front, and you were going into unconsciousness at the time,
Yeah.
and Michael had to keep you awake, and it got to a point. The only way he was going to keep you awake was slapping you across the face, and we had to keep you awake. That was the most important bit. Was keeping
Mm.
you conscious. I don't know how Michael did it to a degree. I got you to Northern General as quick as I could, and
I'm
then
sure you told me
was
that you
right.
got lost as well. You trying to find it,
We
wasn't you?
did, yeah. The worst part about it was, obviously, I didn't know Sheffield at the time, and I think actually we were. Were we at a Premier Inn near the arena? Because we'd gone to
Uh,
watch the ice hockey.
I know. I think I know we was at the. Was it Chinese? Wasn't it? I think
Was
we'd
it the
gone to.
Chinese?
Was it Chinese? I can't remember now. I know we
But
was at
yeah,
a restaurant.
it was something else. It was a frightening experience, to see a friend of yours go through something like that,
Yeah.
and to lose to the main port of it all was for you not to lose consciousness, and we managed to get you to Northern General, and they took you in. Of course, you stayed in for a few days, didn't you?
I was in. I think I was in for about a week.
Yeah, I think you were.
So because they couldn't put pin it, and then eventually realised it was my appendix. So yes. So I was lucky that it hadn't exploded, but it wasn't in the greatest form. But I bear the scars of that operation. But yeah, I was there for about a week because they kept saying, "Oh, we'll book you in for surgery," and then they didn't, and then they did, and then they say, "Right, okay, we're not going to give you any food now because you've got to be nil by mouth." And then I'd go 12 hours without any food, and they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, we've had to cancel because another one." So I'd be starving at this point. So it was hard, but as I say, I remember being stood outside the restaurant. I remember that, and then the next thing I remember is obviously waking up in obviously Sheffield General, Northern General, and so I don't remember anything else in between, apart from obviously what you lot had told me at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could have been a totally different outcome, really.
Weren't you dating someone from Sheffield then?
Yes, I was. Yes,
Yeah.
going back, it's got to be at least 20 year, isn't it?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
15, 20 year ago, yeah. It'd be
yeah,
about that because I think you were seeing that lady when I'd split up with Jen.
yeah. Well, I say seeing, it was very loosely termed. It wasn't really, I wouldn't even call it a relationship, if I was honest. So,
Hmm.
Miss
Yeah.
Snow.
Yeah. I still got her on Facebook, actually.
Have you? Yeah, I don't
I
do
haven't
Facebook.
spoken to her for ages.
No. But I mean,
I
we've
don't.
made a lot of friends through the ice hockey. Obviously, we've got our good
Yeah, yeah.
friend Lisa over in Wales. Um, I think we met them it was a restaurant, wasn't it, after a Wales game, and they were going home, and we was coming back from Cardiff. I know we were staying in Cardiff, I think, because we watched Cardiff Devils play Sheffield. And we met Lisa and Andrew and their two little girls, Terry and Shan, who ain't so little anymore. And Andrew, God rest his soul, was an absolute brilliant fella. And yeah, so we obviously made friends with them. But, I mean, we've spoken to so many people over the years and made friends with so many people, whether it was at the Sheffield Steelers games and then the early years at the London Racers. I
Oh,
mean, that's
wow,
going
yeah.
back a bit. It's a shame that London doesn't have an ice hockey team anymore.
Well,
Well, that arena was
it
just,
does. It has two. It has
as it,
two. It has
yeah,
three, actually, but they're not in the top level.
no,
And while you've got London prices, it's never going to work. And while you name it London, it'll never work.
no,
London's never going to be as much as London's a city. I know, as you do,
mm,
that North Londoners don't quite get on with Southern Londoners and East London.
yeah, yeah,
So you've got like the North and West versus the South and East, and it's very London just doesn't work
yeah,
as for a team, which is why in football you've got so many different versions of London teams that are named after local areas
yeah,
because you just couldn't get behind a London team, and it was a shame really because the Raiders had a really good pedigree.
mm,
Um, it was just a shame they were at the Lee Valley Ice Centre, which when you look at some of the ice arenas here in the UK, which there isn't that many of, the seats were only 6 high.
Yeah,
It
that was the
wasn't.
one. I can't remember. You say the Lee Valley Ice Arena, but Lee Valley Ice Arena is the one that's at Pickett's Lock, isn't it?
No, we're going back a few years, mate. It's Lee Valley Ice Rink. That was on the Lea Bridge Road.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I know where it was. I presume Lee Valley Ice
Yeah,
Rink
no,
was the one that was the.
we're going back before Pickett's Lock was something special.
It's,
Before the Olympics.
it's still isn't really, is it? Pickett's Lock.
Oh no. But no, you've got this was before 2012, wasn't it? So
Oh yeah.
when the Olympics came to London, then you what was it, about 2010 they started building everything, or 2009 they started building it,
Mm.
and the races were there from 2006 to 2008, I think it was. In
Yeah.
the 2008 season they dispersed, but
Yeah.
there was some good players there.
It
Really was
was.
some good
Yeah,
players.
I mean some of them are still in the UK scene anyway, aren't they? I think they're just doing sort of other bits now, aren't they? So I mean, we've done some crazy things, and we've seen a lot, a lot of things, and we've done a lot as we grew up. We was never one of these kids that would, or even young adults, that were causing problems. Yeah, we'd pull up at traffic lights and bail out the cars and have a fake punch up, and everybody would panic, and and then just as the lights were changing, you'd all stop, shake hands, and get back in the car, and everyone would be sort of sat there in their cars, going, "What the fuck did we just see?" With a bit of Bon Jovi blaring out the cars. I still remember it to this day as well. Is being on a bus with you on the top deck. I can't remember who else was with us at the time, but we'd gone to see the New Year in London, and we couldn't get close enough, so we ended up jumping on the bus, and we ended up seeing the New Year on a bus. And everybody that got on the bus, it was like, "Happy New Year, Happy New Year." I think we must have wished the New Year in about 400 times on the way back to Edmonton. So
Yes, I remember that.
I can't remember what year it is. Don't ask me the
We
year,
went
because
to go down to the O2. They
yeah,
had the big thing at the O2, which then was obviously cancelled. There was
yeah.
nothing going on. Um, and
Well, it was the Millennium Dome then, wasn't it? It wasn't the O2.
yeah,
So
sorry,
it was,
yeah, the Millennium Dome, the
yeah,
upside down bowl.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, yes, I remember it well.
It was a very.
Counterpacts president saying Happy New
How
Year.
can you remember exactly what bus it was as well? That's what I don't even remember what the bus number was. I think it was one that was going all the way back to Edmonton. Anyway,
No,
was it
we
not?
was
Did we have to
dragging central
change?
London at that point.
I think didn't we change it to Trafalgar Square?
We
Because you
couldn't.
used to be able
You
to get
meant
the.
to. You could have years ago, but they were stopping them because that was the early time when they used to stop things going into Trafalgar Square, because that's where the thing was before before you see what you see now with the Millennium Wheel,
Yeah, in the
or the
O2,
London
the
Eye.
London Eye. Yeah.
We used to have fireworks displays at Trafalgar Square,
Mm.
and London you'd have them there, and they do the fireworks around near the river, but yeah, there was none of this flash stuff that they've got now.
No.
And then everybody would disperse up towards Tottenham Court Road, or if you were going north, or up
Mm.
to Oxford Circus if you were going west, or south. I think it was somewhere like Victoria.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Don't ask me about the
we
year.
did. Yeah, I mean, we definitely had it better then. For New Year. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, it looks spectacular with other London Eye, but you're trying to cram too many people in such a small space. So it was never always going to work sort of anywhere else. So it's sort of, the London Eye area was the next point of choice, wasn't it? So, but I mean, as I say, we've done some weird stuff. We've done some stuff that's made us who we are today.
Yeah.
And it's our friendship has grown exponentially over the years. There's been times we've had our disagreements, but who doesn't? But it's all a big learning curve, isn't it? So
Do you know my stepdad? He's passed away now. Said to me when I was younger, he used to say, you only ever be able to count your friends on one hand.
Mm.
And I used to sit there and go, no, I've got loads of friends. Nope, count your friends on one hand.
Mm.
You're lucky. You'll get one hand.
Yeah.
And you know what? How true that is as you get older, as
Yeah.
you get older, and you realise that there's only so many people you can rely on if you want. About need a hand or what? It's such a thing that and it's frightening because I used to have a whole football team,
Yeah.
and a whole hockey team as in
Yeah.
my 20s.
Yeah.
But I don't know where most of them are.
No.
And
We know that one of them, I think, went to prison, didn't he? For a short time.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of them did. One I was on the football team. That
Yeah. The other one that we used to call
obviously,
Dave.
I'm just going to point out it wasn't for anything majorly serious in the
No.
respect of he didn't murder anyone.
No, but he did, went to prison. We had one that was we used to call Dave, and we always used to compare him to being that being that guy off of Road Trip.
Oh Christy!
Yeah, so our very good friend Dave, aka his real name was Neil. We won't do surnames.
Well,
We're
his
not
name
that.
still is Neil.
It is, yeah.
Not
Well, I
changed.
don't know. Well, we called him Dave that much. I'm quite surprised he didn't turn to Dave, but he used to answer to Dave, didn't he? Shut up, Dave.
Yeah, yeah.
There'd always be one particular person that would say, "Shut up, Dave," to him, who had a very big obsession with pigeons. So Pigeon Cam, yeah, that was
Pigeon
highlighted.
Cam.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to play a video now. You guys won't, and girls won't see it, but you'll be able
As
to
long as it's
hear
not
it.
Heathrow, we'll be all right.
No, it's not Heathrow, but Daniel's going to laugh as soon as he sees it. You're going to probably just hear a bit of audio.
And that's the back of your phone, so I'm not going to
Well,
see a
yeah.
lot
Well,
with
give
that.
me. I haven't got that far yet to actually doing it. So here we go.
Oh, for God's sake! Yes,
So that was a good friend of ours. I believe he's at. Well, I don't know if he's still out in Australia.
he is. Yeah,
He's still
I
out there.
spoke
Yeah.
to him. I spoke to him not long ago. He is happily married, and he has a child, which none of us thought would ever happen. Not because his nuts didn't work, but because of the fact that we never
He
thought
was
he'd
just
actually
nuts.
settle down.
Yeah. Can't even. I can't even think of his name. Honestly, it's gone
Richard,
at me. Richard. So in the video,
King Dick.
we were going up to Sheffield, and it was when we still had slam doors on trains. Where you pull down windows.
Were they Mark III garages?
And they were. And that was on the East Midlands line, going up to Sheffield, and as you could hear, it was very, very windy. And that was my phone that he had at the time. One of the early sort of camera phones that were out at that time. How many years? Hang on, I'll tell you how many years ago that I posted that. 16 years ago. Right, so that was 16 years ago. That's got Dan's face sort of like shit. Was it really that long ago?
Why did we
So
16 years?
yeah, well, that's when I uploaded that 16 years ago. Yeah, so he stuck his head out of a moving train window whilst holding my phone, doing at least 90 mile an hour down this railway line, and obviously saying that he's on a very fast train, sticking his head out the window, and it was a woo. And then moments up before he sort of, he brought his head in just in time as a large post was coming in the opposite direction. So otherwise he would have lost a limb, so to
Yeah,
speak.
we've
It
lost
would
a
have.
bit.
Yeah, he would have been one of them characters from the Ronald Dahl book, if anyone did have that at school about railway safety.
Quite. you know what? When you were a kid and you thought that at the time, at school, and I don't know how people are going to recognise this idea. We used to have a telly on a trolley.
Oh, and the little flaps that used to open the sun visors, you
See,
always
now
knew.
you had that. We didn't. We just had a telly on a trolley, and that was all we were allowed. We weren't as posh as you. We didn't have its own case. But it was you used to get the VCR underneath, video recorder, and used to play it, and the railway safety videos were absolutely frightening. Where they'd say, if you aim your water pistol at an electric line, you are going to die. so, so you never did it.
No, no.
And you know what? I mean, Christ, no, those rail safety videos were frightening as fuck.
Now you just get videos on YouTube of people jumping barriers and go, just don't do that. Or
There was
people
a video
driving through.
actually of an old boy that saw a steam train coming into a station, or coming through the station.
Oh, is that the one who had his back to it? And then
Yeah,
and he's
and then
inches from
out
the
of the
other.
fog, the smoke of the steam, suddenly this train coming the other way just missed
Just miss him. Yeah, I've seen that one. Yes, very, 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 very lucky man. But
Very lucky.
we did some very crazy stuff at railway stations. How we wasn't arrested, I have no idea, because it was absolutely crazy. Some of the crap. I mean, obviously there's the Heathrow experience, which I wasn't there for that one. That was your trip to Belfast, if I
That was
remember rightly.
Belfast. Yeah.
So the poor Irish had to cope
I'm
with.
I'm trying to remember if that was the when I was blonde, and we went to Belfast, and that was, oh my God, I think it was. I think it was. I think I was blonde then. So I've only done Belfast once, so I must have.
Yeah,
And we ended up going over there. We ended up turning up because Michael had this right thing about being early. So we had an early morning flight from Heathrow, and we ended up jumping on 34 to Arnos Grove, and we ended up getting the tube from Arnos Grove straight to Heathrow, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, but we didn't have to be there till 7.
yeah,
And I said to her, I said, look, we can be all right. We can go into London. We'll get on the N279, and then we'll jump on an N9 to Heathrow. Or it might be the N97 then, but either way. And he's like, no, no, I want to be there on time. I want to be there on time. Right, okay. So we end up getting a 34, one of the last 34s, last tube, going to Heathrow. It's where do you know what? I hardly remember the bloody tube journey, but I do remember we end up on the station platform. I think we were the only people there.
yeah.
Went into the terminal, and there is not a soul about, right? And we end up staying. It was overnight, but we didn't physically stay there. We were in a cafe, buying endless cups of tea, chatting to fucking everybody that was there, and we managed to get everybody to actually turn around and call Neil Day.
Yeah,
Um, but it was, yeah, and then we got the flight over, which isn't long to Belfast,
no,
and yeah. But the one thing I did find really odd is over here, obviously, you've got the Sunday trading mall. So over here, shops are open at 10 and finish at 4, or 11 till 5. Over there, they start at 1 because they all go to church, come out of church, which is fine, have an hour, and you can go shop 1 till 7.
Yep.
And you're like, and so of course we go, because well, I'm not a churchgoer. And if I step on holy ground, I burn, unless it's a wedding, christening, or a funeral. It was like, wow, you're walking around going, what the hell's going on here? And the worst part about it is there was a sightseeing bus, and I'd actually generally worked on it.
Trust you to spot a bus.
Couldn't believe it. I was still in my apprenticeship, or just out of my apprenticeship. Then I don't know if I was working for that mobile firm or not, or if I was still at Metro Line. But I definitely looked at the registration. Oh, that's Metro something something something. Oh, that was at my garage. When did that get here? They cut the roof off. But yeah, it was Belfast was
Um,
interesting, and I'm trying to remember if that was the night that Neil got done with the no, I don't think it was. I think that was another one.
Well,
Well,
I think
anyway,
that
well,
Belfast
do you
was the
know what?
one where Michael did the wrestling move into the sign, and it proper did twat the sign, where he run into the sign.
Yeah, we've had a few of those.
Yeah, I know. But
Actually,
I
I
think that
remember
Heathrow.
George picking Michael up and lifting him up in the air with his legs in the air, and he actually clattered a sign at Leicester Station because we ended up we actually had a train on our way up to Sheffield at the time. Cool, this is bringing back memories. We're like, why is the train going so slow? Our train's terminating at the next stop. We need to all get off and get on
Yeah, I
the
think I
next
was
one.
on that one. Yeah.
And I think it was some twat decided that they were going to drop a brick on the
Yes, on the front windscreen.
come on
Yes.
front windscreen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we was on it, weren't we? Because we got off and
yeah,
we went and we looked at the train windows like, oh bloody hell, that was a
yeah.
bit of a state. I
I do
remember that one.
remember George picking up, or no, it might have been Craig. I think George was there. I think
I think it might have been Craig actually
it might have been Craig. Craig picked
picking
Michael
up.
up and he clattered his legs against the sign. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. Yeah,
yeah, it was going to Sheffield. That's I remember it because
yeah,
we
it
were
was.
right near the front carriage when it happened. And yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, it was two twins, George and Michael. So hence George Michael. So you can probably sort of guess who their mum really liked growing up. So yeah, it was
They were
quite
good
a
people from
yeah.
memory. You know,
They're the
uh,
moments. I think it was probably
they
the
were good
people.
people.
I
Very
think
much.
it was just more of who they dated at the time. Well, one person in
Listen,
particular.
you know, we all make mistakes.
Yeah,
We all make mistakes on people that we date, and I'm sure my ex turns around and says, or several exes, all say that I was the biggest waste of time of their lives. Um, but I do that then now you've said that we stopped at Leicester, and that wasn't long after me and my ex split up because the sister lived at Leicester at the time. She doesn't now.
the sister
And
that you
what I coughed over. Yeah. Um,
well, no, that you see coming out the shower one particular time, and I think that made your
that's not
lifetime.
actually true, right? The actual story on that one is that I remember her saying to me, "Can you check out this? Um, can you check out this outfit that she had?" And it just so happened that she was in a Hawaiian outfit, and I just so happened to see a little bit of nipple popping out, and I had to tell her, which is really inappropriate for your sister's boyfriend, or in my case, my girlfriend's sister. Uh, and that was, and you know what? She took it really well, actually, to the point that she dropped me in it at the dinner table. And which my ex looked at me and went, "Oh yeah," and of course I got the third degree, didn't I? Because I'd obviously seen something that was technically, that's forbidden
Forbidden.
territory.
Yes.
And it wasn't like a sister purposely did it, and it wasn't like I purposely looked. It was just that obvious, you know.
But given the
She admitted
opportunity,
it.
you would have been looking.
Well, I won't lie. Out of the two sisters that she had, that that one was definitely the better one.
Yes.
And that's nothing against her other sister at all. I got on really well with the elder one of the two. She was always lovely to me, always, and I got nothing but good things to say about her eldest sister.
Mm.
Obviously, me and her middle sister have had our disagreements. I don't think I'm quite her cup of tea,
Mm.
but the elder one always treated me nicely, always treated me, and even after we split up, um, the elder sister did treat me really nicely and didn't hold it against me that I'm now not part of the family, as it were, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so the eldest sister, I will say, was lovely. It still is. I'm sure if I see her again, I'm sure she'll talk to me. I'm sure she'll be nice to me. I'm sure she won't purposely aim any hate at me. Can't say that's going to be the same from the middle sister, but I am pretty confident that if I did see the elder sister, I wouldn't be treated badly. I put money on it.
Yeah, you still jizz your load though over it.
I don't know what you mean.
Exactly.
I don't know what you mean. Genuine.
Well,
Genuinely, I don't know what you mean.
I think on that note, I think I've picked on you plenty this evening. You really sort of taken the shit to the to the cleaners there of everything that's happened to you. Mind you, I mean, obviously I mentioned about me. There's been some good stuff about you. Obviously, taking me
Has
to
there?
the
I
hospital.
don't remember it.
Well, you got me to the hospital. You saved me.
Yeah,
Be it that you got
you do
lost
what
trying to
you do.
find the hospital, but uh,
Only to realise it was around the fucking corner.
so as I say, that's just one experience that
We
I
didn't
say
have
I
to do
can't
it all
forget
again.
because obviously I can't remember half of it, so I have to forget
Honestly,
part of it.
it weren't a great time.
No,
It weren't a great time. When you used to having a laugh and a giggle like we do, and even now, when the serious stuff happens, it really is deadly serious. It
Yeah.
is really frightening. It is, especially when you're not used to doing it. No matter how many. I mean, I am technically still, but not qualified. A first aid trained by St John Ambulance, and when you're actually put in the situation, that's different to training for it. When you're
yeah,
actually in the position, it's a lot scarier, and especially when it's someone
yeah,
and that's even harder because that's really really difficult, and it
yeah.
is. But yeah, bloody hell. Do you know what? I hadn't forgotten it, but it was like that's just like a little nudge to remember. Do you remember that? And you go, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't forgotten it. I do remember it, but it's just that little nudge to say, what about that? You know.
But I can
But
only
anyway,
really remember your cars. I think the only one I really remember is your Ford Focus.
I don't remember what you're on about.
No.
Um, but
I mean, I
do.
could throw in
You
one
know what?
last story, but I think you'd probably kill me for it.
I don't know yet because I've just realised I've got something on you.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. When I mean, I give it credit where it's due. You're the only person I know that could park a car in between a lamppost and a bollard really, really well.
Yeah, yeah,
With
um,
Rizzler paper size gap.
yeah. About that.
Yeah.
I still remember my three versions of looking at that. The
I
first
remember
version
seeing
of
the
looking at it.
version of the picture.
Yeah, I remember sat there looking at it as I came to, and I got out of my 1.3 Ford Escort, ironically. And I remember looking at it, and I remember saying to myself, "Cool, blimey, that's right good parking." The second question was, how am I getting out of that? Bearing in mind that I have, at the time, without realizing, a lamppost through the middle of my engine block and a wooden fence behind the rear end, and the lamppost was actually leaning over the car. And I didn't see that bit. I forgot to
Near
look at the
Pickett's
V.
Lock, wasn't it? As well.
Eh?
It was near Pickett's Lock as well, wasn't it? If I
Was,
remember
yeah.
right. Yeah.
You'll always know which light it was because it was the one that was longer than the rest. They changed it from a short one to a long one, and that's how I know which one I hit.
If it's still there.
And the second question was, how am I getting that out of there? And then the third question was, I'm not getting that out of there. What am I going to do? And yeah, that was something scary. And then all that was slipping on oil.
Yeah.
Lost control, slipped on oil, and somehow managed to park a car
In a very
really, really well on there. Yeah, but
I'm
in regard to
interested
you though,
yeah, I was interested now. Let's see what you've got on me.
so I remember that there was a particular young lady. Now, whether she was on your street or not, I don't remember. The little the sigh of, do you really remember that? I can
Yeah.
see it in your face because obviously they
I
can't
call
see
her
what
my
they're like.
stepsister.
Hey,
I call her my stepsister.
do you?
Yeah. Well,
You've seen your stepsister naked?
well, in that term, yeah, it sounds wrong, but no, she's not,
That sounds a bit odd, that, mate.
she's not actually my stepsister, but I saw her as a sister figure later in life. But at the
You really
time,
want to see more than just a figure?
I did.
Is that you did, as in you actually did? Well,
I
you did
did,
because
yes.
I
Yes.
do remember that there were some. I never got to see them, unfortunately, for me. But I do remember that there were some photos of her in compromising positions.
Yes. Not taken by me.
Really?
Yeah.
Not what you told me then.
Yeah. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But again, looking at that situation is, how did I get in this situation? Well, I've just been put in that situation.
Yep.
But yes, yeah, we could go on in this show, and I think I'm
I
going to let
love the fact you're leaving it now, just at the moment you don't have to explain yourself.
Oh, it's getting a bit cold in here. I might have to put the heating on.
Oh, look at that. Smuggling peanut.
Yeah. Yeah, well, peanuts, these are bleeding micro nuts at the minute.
What
Yeah, I
about the
mean,
ones in your chest, mate, not the ones
yeah,
between your legs?
yeah. I mean, she's a very good friend, but I haven't spoken to her in a while. She's now abroad. She's got a little girl, but she's done a lot in modelling. She's been in Zoo magazine. She's done a few men's magazines and stuff like that. But she obviously she's very much a gym buff now. So I mean, well, she's covered in tattoos as well. But yeah, she sort of, I mean, the bloke she's with now, I wouldn't argue with him, and I'm certainly sure you wouldn't either.
Probably
But
not.
yes, no, but she was part Italian, and so yeah, she was nice girl. To say she was my next door neighbour for quite a few years. But I see her as a sort of a stepsister afterwards. And that, but I know that all of you lot were, ogling her any time that you could.
Don't know what you mean.
Exactly.
No, I don't, generally. I never
Yeah.
actually got to meet her. I never
Did you
got to
not?
see her.
I thought you
Never.
did. No. I know Mike did. I think, well, he's just the biggest
Michael,
perv going, but
honestly, Michael was, and he'll never listen to this either, so I can say it. Michael would have pretty much taken anything that would have had a pulse.
that's true.
So, I wouldn't go as far as to say
Neil
that.
would have just said something without a pulse.
Actually, no. After what happened I'm gonna say Belfast. I think it was. I don't remember. I don't remember when it was. I don't think it was Belfast. But I do remember that we played a really nasty trick on him, and it was mean. We shouldn't have done it. We got away with it.
If
And he
it's
didn't
what I
know
think it
for
is, I
about.
might have been there, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it was Belfast. I know we
I
did
don't.
some
I,
shit
I
to
don't
him in
think it was.
Sheffield.
Someone's telling me it was Belfast, but I don't think it was. I actually think. Do you know what? It actually was.
I
It
didn't do
was
Belfast.
because I remember it was Belfast. It was. He was absolutely out of his nut. And
It was funny when he was drunk.
oh yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And he was oh, God. He was with this girl. I don't know whether he still is or not, but he was with this girl. I'll say was because I don't know, or
Yeah, I
is,
think I remember
whatever.
the one you were talking about. Yeah.
And we'd gone out and we got talking to a group of girls. And I had a right thing for one of them. I'm not gonna lie. And we were talking away. I'm not used to that when it comes to women. If you were to hear half of my stories on this podcast, which I hope that half of them don't come out, we ended up meeting with these guys. We ended up doing some dance moves. The traditionals like your stacking the boxes and
Little fish.
big fish, little fish, cardboard box. Yeah, I ended up doing the penguin. That's one where you put your arms down, flip them out, and sit there waddling around.
I've not seen
Things
you
like
do that, and
no,
I'm
and
getting a
guys
picture of that in
waddling.
my head now. So I may
It
not
should
sleep
stay in
tonight.
history. That's where it should stay in history. And he ended up chatting up this girl that wasn't in the group. And I'm not a fan of cheaters. I don't like them, and I'm sorry if you've cheated in your time,
Yeah.
then you're a bastard or a bitch because you don't need to do that. If you're not happy with someone, get fucking rid. But that's another subject for another day.
Yeah.
And we ended up saying to Neil, "Come on, we need to get you back." Me and Craig took him back, and I said, "We need to sort this out. I don't want. I'm not going to tell his missus. You don't do that. But we need to play a right trick on him for doing that." So we did, and we went down, and I asked Craig what shampoo he had, and Craig had this coloured one. I said, "No, I need white." And I had Head and Shoulders. But I know that Head and Shoulders, obviously, other brands are available.
Yeah.
But the Head and Shoulders I had was like a creamy whitish kind of thing, a little bit blue, but not that much. And no, it was Pantene. I don't know where we got it from.
Why can I picture what's coming here? But yeah.
So we ended up going downstairs into the hotel toilet to get to a condom machine. And we ended up squirting. I don't know how we rolled the condom right up. But we know when it's in the packet, we rolled it down a bit, stuck some shampoo in it, and then just enough, just enough. Might have been a bit too much actually, but the detail on how much it is irrelevant. As long as you don't fill it up and make it completely obvious that it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
And it was Sparko on the chair, on the bed, sorry, and I ended up going to get half his clothes were off anyway, so it was irrelevant. I didn't have to do very much. So Craig helped me lift him up, put his pants down a bit, and I got a pencil out and stuck this condom in his ass, and we left it at that. And I ended up staying in Craig and Michael's room. And anyway, so we gone down for breakfast. Now, Craig at the time, and he'll probably admit this if we ever speak to him, could eat for England.
Yeah.
Right? And with
I'll
it
agree
being
on
a
that one.
Premier Inn, right, with it being a Premier Inn, you can have endless amount what you want. And Craig took full advantage of this.
Did he?
And we were seated on a 4-seater table, right? So, we're there, and I'm sat there on one side, and of course Craig was sat on his own. I was sat next to mine, and he's put a plate next to himself because that's where it was a finished plate. Anyway, I says, "Here, Craig, leave it there. Don't move it. Go get a clean plate." "Why?" "We could pretend someone's left the room. That's why I was in your room last night." He's like, "Hey, that's an idea." So he got some food back on it, quickly scoffed some of it down, left some on the plate, put a knife and fork on it, dead straight, sat there like that. And now he's eating, and I'm still eating some. And then Michael's eating. I think Michael nearly finished. Anyway, Neil come down, white as a sheet. I genuinely thought he'd been sick. Right, he was that white. And he says to us, he went, "Did I bring anyone home back to the hotel room last night?" And we went, "Oh yeah." He went, "Who did I bring?" And we said, "Oh, you brought this lad back. I think his name was Kevin." I got a nudge off of Craig, kick off of Craig off for it. "Kevin?" I said, "Yeah, why?" He says, "Are you sure?" I went, "Yeah." I said, "He's just had his breakfast. He's already gone, mate. Look, there's an empty plate there from him." "No, I can't have brought anyone back. I can't have brought anyone back." I said, "You did." And Michael went, "You did. That's why Danny kicked in our room last night." Because, you two want it to be alone. No. Anyway, come on, Neil, get some breakfast. We've got a flight to catch. He didn't eat much of his breakfast, funnily enough. I think Craig took his share. And we had him, and he was, honestly, he's like, are you sure? Yeah. So we described this Kevin to a T. Anyway, we got back, and his missus actually said to us at the time, whether he's still with her or not, I don't know. She said to us about him, and she went, he's not really spoke about what happened at this thing. He's been very deathly quiet about it. What actually happened? And we had to keep it really polite. And she actually joined in. She was fully up for it. I didn't say we didn't say it was a punishment for what he'd done.
Yeah.
But what we did say was, we thought we'd play a trick on him, and we stuck a condom for the shampoo up his ass. And she said, why? I said, because we always said the first person to go to sleep gets it. And
Yeah.
he was the one.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that one. I always made sure I didn't fall asleep first.
And
I
yeah,
think
she
it was
played
always
along.
Neil that fell asleep. To be fair,
It was 3 months we had him going for. 3 months, and in the end, we actually turned around and went, "Did you actually check your condom in your ass?" And he went, "What? Like, did you check the condom in your ass?" No, why? I said it was full of fucking Pantene Pro V. How do you know? I said, because I'm fucking put it there.
oh dear, we were an absolute bunch of arseholes at time to him, but he took it in good stead sometimes. We did see a couple of times where he did get really angry and was like, "Whoa, hang on a second, is this the same Neil that we know?" And he'd get really, you tend to get irate more with Michael, I think, than the rest of us. He did try and argue back with Michael many a times, and them two just arguing was probably the most comedic pair going.
I think the other one that made me laugh was when I was playing hockey. We'd all gone out for a night out, and his name was Kev. I won't say his surname, but he got one of our other blokes, and we were all absolutely hammered. And this other lad was laying on the floor asleep, and Kev decided he needed to drop a fart, and he saw this lad on the floor asleep, so he bent over this kid's face with his ass, and then this lad woke up as this lad farted in his face. And the first thing wasn't, "Oh my god, you've just farted in my face." The first thing this lad went, "Oh my god, it winked." And we were like, "What?" He said, "It winked at me. It winked at me." So yeah, apparently when you have a fart, your arsehole winks at you. If you've ever,
I can't bend my
know.
head back that far, but yes, I think we're sort of scarring people now, and I think we're going to end up putting them off our next episode. Mind you, they probably won't listen into the sort of shit that we used to get up to even. So, but there are many a story we could tell of the antics that we used to get up to on our many trips to Sheffield, Cardiff, Coventry. Did I do Basingstoke? I think I did one Basingstoke. I know I didn't do Belfast.
Did you do Newcastle?
I've not done Newcastle or Edinburgh.
I didn't appreciate the fact that we lost, but Newcastle was good.
Yeah.
That was when I did the chair.
And I think we'll save that one for another day. We're at 12:10 in the evening, and I think we started this at.
We've been on this for an hour and 38 minutes. Got to this round. Before I paused it, it was 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's about 9:30 that we did sort of look at starting. Around that sort of, about 9:30.
Issues with your microphone and sucking off a chipmunk again.
Yeah. Yes, we do. I do like the chipmunks. Hopefully, we won't have that issue anymore. Hopefully, we've
sorted your settings out.
Yes. Normally, it's me that gives you the technical jibs and that, and how to do stuff.
Sucking off a chipmunk.
Well, no, I'm talking about technical jibs about getting stuff sorted, because I can guarantee there's always been a few months to go by, and it'd be like, "I've got this problem," and I'd be like, "All right, here we go." And how can I do this? And how can I do that? So I'd give you my information. You'd be like, "Right, okay, I'll look into it. And that'll be the last I hear of it, and I'll be like, okay.
I don't even know if I've even done it. That's the worst part.
No, I know that you probably haven't, but I know that I've said to you, there's the information. You'll be like, "Oh, okay, I'll check that out," and that's the last I'll hear from you. So I can guarantee in probably about 3 or 4 weeks' time, it'll be like, I've got this issue here. So yeah, I'm
Probably.
awaiting that. So, and the way that you're swinging around your pointy thing, which is probably just
I'd like to clarify that it's actually a magnet, extendable magnet. I've just realised I've
is
left
that
it
what
in
you
the
call
office.
it nowadays? Your extendable magnet. What does it?
Yes, because
And
it
what does it
certainly
attract?
yes, it certainly attracts other metal objects. Not quite the. It doesn't attract breasts as much as I'd like them to. But yeah,
Yeah. But I hope
excellent.
you've enjoyed the second outing of the Gingers Man Club, two gingers. But yes, do check us out on X, Daniel.
Oh, sorry, was that my bit?
That was your bit, yes.
That was my bit. So my on cue, even though you pointed at me,
Yeah.
is at Ginger's Man Club.
There will
We
be
are on
some
it.
social
I'm
media posts
sure.
going up very, very soon.
I'm sure we'll have some other social media, whatever that
Yes,
concerns. I don't know.
maybe TikToking and Instagramming,
Oh,
and
good God, no.
I can just picture you TikToking.
TikTok. What are you gonna say on there? Is join us on Ginger's Man Club to talk about things that half the people on it haven't even experienced in their life.
I'll just get an AI voice to do it. It'll sound better. An AI
Yeah,
ginger
all right, fair
person.
play.
So yes.
That's what I'm doing before you think about.
So, but thank you very much for listening in. Hopefully we haven't bored you, or thought, oh
You're still
God, I
here
go,
at an hour
yeah.
and 48 or 49 or whatever it is.
Which
Well
is
done, you. You deserve a medal. Now
it's
go buy
actually longer
yourself
than
a
our first
chocolate bar.
episode. Yes, it's longer than the first episode. Even though
Oh,
Daniel, you said to me, we've got to get it to an hour. I was like, all right, okay. So
done
even
me
though,
well there, mate.
yeah, well, I did say to you, give us a timing of like hand gestures, 10 minutes,
You
5 minutes.
you actually did. Have you not got a timer?
No, I don't have a timer on my screen.
Oh, right, okay. Shows how good the system is, doesn't
So
it?
it's because you're in charge of the system, and I wait for after this message. Right, it's your turn next week. That's what I'm waiting for. So yes, join us again next Tuesday, or whatever day Dan decides to plug this onto the system. But we do record on a Tuesday, and on a Wednesday night from 6 till 7, I am on the radio. I am.
Shameless plug.
Yes, I'm gonna do a shameless plug now. So I'm on the radio from 6 till 7 on Humber Wave Radio. You can listen online at humberwave.com. If you're in the whole East Yorkshire or North Lincolnshire area, you can listen in on DAB and on 106.9 FM in those areas. But generally, just listening online at humberwave.com, and on a Saturday night 6 till 8, showcasing local musicians from whole East Yorkshire and Northern Lincolnshire. Plugged.
Nothing like a shameless plug.
Uh,
I hope you shamelessly plug us on your show.
well, I have to mention as much as I can, within reason, obviously. But yes, I'm sure at some point during one of my shows, you will be phoned up live on air, and you will be joining me live on the radio. So please do not swear when that does come on.
I love that because that's what we have to say when we're on loudspeaker at work. You are
Yeah.
now live on Channel 4. Please do not swear.
As your office staff, probably, well, one of them's probably more potty mouthed than you at times. Who she doesn't, she's not afraid to say what she thinks, is she?
Oh, mate. Our
And I've
office
only met her
lady's
once.
absolute. Right, our office lady's awesome. She'll not listen to this, but she's bloody awesome.
Oh, could you imagine her being on
She does
this?
not care. She does not care
Yeah,
at all.
but
If
yeah.
she did listen to this, she'd probably kill me.
So on that note, it's a good night from him.
And it's a good night from him.
Yes, and we shall see you on the next one, or you'll hear us on the next one. You won't see us.
Hear you on the next one. Take
Yes.
care out there. Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, and whatever else in between.
Yes,
Bye
what he
for now.
said. Bye bye.